the press now they're not really acknowledging their role in the cover-up. Right. They're not acknowledging that they pretended the story wasn't happening on C-SPAN right before everybody's eyes. And all of a sudden it's safe for them to just a little bit say, oh, we kind of missed this story, should have been covered more. I continue to say this is one of the biggest scandals in media history, maybe the biggest in America. And for places like Newsmax, your program, my reporting, I don't think we deserve a Pulitzer for reporting what we could see publicly. But I do think until the organizations that contributed to the cover-up come clean, they can't expect to establish any credibility with the broader public.
Yeah, I would expand on that to say that there was a choice to not report it. It was obvious. Yeah. It was an easy story to report, but there was some decision within whichever network, news organization, to not cover it or to ignore it. And it had major implications, which you were touching on, about the consequences of going down that path without reporting on it, missing opportunities in a primary. I'll ask you about this, too, because the reporter there touched on it in the clip. A new Washington Post report, I believe you've read it, Mark, but revealing Biden regrets dropping out of this year's presidential race. It goes on to say this, quote, Biden and some of his aides still believe he should have stayed in the race despite the rocky debate performance and low poll numbers that prompted Democrats to pressure him to drop out. Biden and these aides have told people in recent days that he could have defeated Trump, according to people familiar with their comments who spoke on the condition of anonymity to describe private conversations, unquote. It was called delusional in that CBS News clip. Mark, if there is weight to this story, how do you see it?
Well, I think Joe Biden was right for years, literally, when he said he thought he had the best chance to beat Donald Trump. But at some point, it passed from having the best chance to beat Donald Trump to no chance. And again, I don't like to make everything into a media story, but that Washington Post story ignores, there's not a word in the story about his decline of mental acuity. And they don't have two paragraphs, as I would have writing that story, that says, here's the indications that Joe Biden's not right. He was not just behind Donald Trump, he was way behind. He would have been wiped out unless something dramatic changed. And I doubt something dramatic changed. Remember, after that debate, he had several weeks before he was forced out of the race where he tried to convince the Democratic Party and the voters he could do it. And he failed.
Mm-hmm. We're just showing some clips, refreshing our memory of unfortunate moments in President Biden's term, where, you see the physical struggle here, not to mention the mental challenges. I mean, we were going back in time. I was trying to think, when was the Easter Bunny leading him around? That was years ago. That was, I believe, 2022 or 23. But either way, there were signs, falling off the bike, talking to dead people, calling out for a deceased congresswoman. I mean, there were signs along the way. So my point is, will the media change? Have you seen any signs that they're going to approach it differently?
Emma, I've told the story before. I saw Joe Biden do an event in 2017 with a friendly interviewer promoting a book. And afterwards, I said, thank goodness his career in public life is over, because what an embarrassment it would be for him and his family if he continued to try to do things in a public way. That was 3 years before he ran for and won the presidency, which without COVID, I think would have been a big challenge for him. I don't know that the media will change. The early signs are not encouraging. Not only the cover-up of Joe Biden's lack of lost mental acuity, but I still see very little curiosity on the part of most of the media about how Donald Trump won and why, what the MAGA movement is about, Joe Biden's failures on immigration, on inflation, on Afghanistan, and the press's role in covering those up, and Biden Inc., the failure to continue, or the effort to continue to protect Joe Biden and his family from what now is a clear pattern of lack of truthfulness on the acuity issue. I think people should have some doubts whether they've been honest about how Hunter Biden made his money. Yeah. So I don't see a lot of encouraging signs about change. I hope so, because I care about our profession.